listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast.
Hello, faces and non-faces alike. This is the Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast, and if you haven't gathered by now, we are going to talk about wrestling because that's what we do. Some of us better than others, some of us not well at all. But in any case, it's time for speakeasies about Wrestle Talk time. I'm the one that's not at all, by the way. Spoiler! Beef the legend, the tribal beef, the one and only, one's up, F's in the chat, the man, the Cruiserweight champion. He is with us here tonight. Tiger Bomb Tom, King of the Jungle, the man who quite possibly could take the Cruiserweight title off of the Tribal Beef for the first quarter of 2025. He is also here. Poot the Bard, who's got a run-in shot until he gets all wacky with it, will be joining us in a bit. I am McRansom, and I don't talk about picks because they don't do well enough of a do-good thing for me. So that's who you're going to listen to here tonight, today, tomorrow. Intro over. Talk about wrestling.
Ba 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 ba. All right. I'll just do the scores now to get them out of the way. So after our premium live event slash sort of kind of a pay-per-view, but also sort of kind of a collision, we have Dave sitting atop the standing at 47, Tom at 46, Poot and Pat at 44, Beef at 43, Ransom at 43.
What?
Amber at 42 and Scoob at 20. It is a logjam at the top, and then there's Scoob.
Ransom,
shout out to biggest.
Ransom, you picked a perfect. I think you picked a perfect whatchamacallit AEW card, didn't he?
No, I had to have gotten something wrong.
So let me. I wasn't prepared for that, but what I am prepared to say is that that Tom, Dave, and Ransom all had 34 out of 36 points this weekend. So that is a big number, big number.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I know what it was. Ransom picked Vengeance Day Perfect because he got Eddie Thorpe.
No, he picked Roxy.
Well, fuck.
So
I'm wrong all around.
He lost 2 points last weekend. 1 point on Roxy, 1 point on Harley. So yeah, all around.
Damn you, Roxy.
Great picks from the boys. I put my money where my mouth was, and as usual, my mouth wrote some checks, and my ass was not was not able to cash.
Better fucking take that mouth back to Aspen Dental.
Yeah. We're not gonna go there.
You turned into Sean Connery right there. My ass couldn't handle.
Huh?
My mouth wrote some checks that my ass couldn't cash.
My ass couldn't cash the cards that the chicks.
See. Oh God!
Aspen Dental can gargle my nuts.
Hi everybody. So yeah, exciting stuff on the events last weekend. Exciting movement on the NXT front. It looks like
D's nuts.
I don't even know what's happening on Impact right now. It says it's live, which is weird. But it's like a crowd shot. This is weird. Yeah, so what do we think of Vengeance Day / AEW / whatever the hell we want to talk about? Go.
I mean, they were both good cards. I was kind of surprised with it, obviously at least one of the results on Vengeance Day. I was kind of surprised. I'm not totally against it, like giving Eddie Thorpe a win over Trick Williams, but it was surprising because Trick's their boy, and he's Booker's boy.
Whoop that.
Yeah.
Oh.
And, well, I mean,
Mr.
I
T.
would.
Or no, Booker T, damn it.
That's somebody different. I pity
Sure is.
the fool.
Stevie Ray. What?
Is.
I think I would have been fine with that if that were Trick's swan song in NXT.
Right.
But the fact that he's back, I don't know, man. Like I don't want to sound like I'm anti Trick Williams. I love Trick Williams, and I think he's a great dude to have. I think he brings the energy, and I think the crowd absolutely identifies with him. So you need to cash in on that while that shit's hot.
Right.
Cash me outside.
I'm looking at you, Mello.
Wow.
So
Hey, it ain't Mello's fault, man.
Well, a little bit. Remember that one promo that he flubbed pretty hard?
I don't actually.
Yeah, I forget what it was. He was talking about somebody in a match, and he said the same name twice, and whoever he was I think it was LA Knight that he was working with, he was like, "Oh, so and so and so and so, huh? Ha ha! Way to go, rookie! See you later!" And just completely dogged him. Yeah, I mean, it's just not all Mello's fault, obviously, but I think that Trick is in a weird place where he, can help by losing, but also, if they're gonna bring him to the main roster, I think they should do so on the backs of a hot push. So, I would have preferred that his last match on NXT be going out on his back, with Eddie Thorpe. I think that would have been a fine ending.
Right.
Now he's kind of in this championship chase again, and we're all okay, we've seen this before. Kind of similar with Ethan Page. I think that's the one thing that I'm not exceptionally jazzed about on NXT is how they're treating Obafemi's title reign. First facing Theory and Waller, which, main roster superstars, sure, but also guys that I think had no business in NXT. And then,
No
now
business
with
in
Trick
the title
Ethan,
match.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that with Trick and Ethan Page, guys who've been there before.
Well, at least one of them At least one of them had no business in the title match.
That's me.
I'm still under the opinion that that they took Austin Theory up to the main roster too soon, and he should have gotten an NXT title reign at some point. It's again Roxanne Perez, she's absolutely main roster ready, but I don't want to see her up there unless they have something for her. I don't want her getting the fucking Shinsuke treatment. I don't want her getting the fucking Asuka treatment. People that have been squandered,
I don't know about all that, man.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
I think that both Shinsuke and Asuka have had Hall of Fame worthy careers at this point in WWE.
But my
Shinsuke maybe, but definitely Asuka.
Well, Asuka, they brought her up and she was hot for. She was a ball of fire for a hot minute, but she's fizzled.
Hot for Hogan.
Yeah, him too. Wet for Hogan, hot for Hogan, all of it.
Hey, when you two are done talking about this and the NXT event, because I'll probably forget because I'm old. Remind me that I have a general NXT question that I want to bring up.
Gotcha.
Okay.
The only other actually maybe Asuka was not as good of an example, but Shayna Baszler is. She reigned dominant down there in NXT, and then when she hit the main roster, not so much. So.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, Roxy beat Raquel on night one. You can't do much better than that.
Right.
She's going to be in the chamber. Part of me is fantasy booking her actually winning the chamber. I don't think they have the guts. I don't think they have the guts to do that, but my goodness, imagine if they did.
Man, I was thinking about that too. I was like, what if they have her win and then she calls her shot for the NXT championship? You know what I mean?
Oh!
See? Yeah.
That'd be interesting. I had not considered that option, but I
That's-
think they've.
Yeah, that's the only way I see them. Like, if they're gonna have her win, that's the only way I see them doing it. I don't think they're gonna have her go after.
Well, I think that she could pull a great match at Rhea. I think
she-
her and Rhea could turn the house down.
She absolutely could. That they could have a great match. I mean, like, honestly, Roxanne can have a great match with just about
A fucking
anybody.
broomstick. Yeah.
She's very, very, very good. But I don't see a compelling reason why she would pick Rhea other than just like, okay, well, I'm going to try to make my mark on the main roster, and then at that point it's like, do you strap the rocket to the back that quickly or not? You know what I mean? I mean, like, again, I'm all for her being up there and mixed into the main roster, and hell, even into the main title picture, as long as they have something for her. Like, I think that her having a great match at WrestleMania with Rhea Ripley would be a great start to her main roster career. It's very clear that they see what they want to do with her. She went from 3 to last in the Royal Rumble this year, which I think shocked everybody. And that tells me that I think that they know what they have. Mm-hmm.
And, like, I think that she's a perfect example of, like, the perfect amount of time in NXT. Like, she was down there for a while, she was cooking, and everyone's like, oh, boy, she's so great, bring her up. And then she kind of got stale as a face, so she got hurt and came back as the heel, and I'm like, okay, now this is fucking cooking.
Yeah.
And was dominant just long enough to, boy, these fucking NXT boys, Tyson Dupree or whatever, Tyson DuPont and this other guy, they're the drizzling shits.
The ones with Wesley. Yeah.
They're facing the Rascals, and it's not a good match. Not a good match.
I don't know what it is. Like, I saw them have a couple matches in NXT. The first time I saw them, I'm like, oh man, I really like them. Like, they look like they have a good look and stuff like that, but I haven't seen them wrestle a whole lot, and
in the ring, bad. They're 100%. They're fun, but they're bad in the ring. Roxanne Perez, though.
Holy shit, you guys are all over the place.
Yeah.
Yes,
Hey,
sorry.
would they?
Yes.
I mean, again, in the past, absolutely not, definitely no.
Is this your general NXT question?
No.
Okay.
This is a Roxanne Perez question.
Gotcha.
Since Road Dogg, HBK, like, since they're all in charge, all working, to better their product, do you think that they might have her win Elimination Chamber and then challenge for the NXT women's title and have that match at WrestleMania?
Oh, that'd be fun.
I think it's possible.
Because, I mean, like, you haven't really seen an NXT title defended on, like, a regular WWE pay-per-view or especially WrestleMania.
So
when Charlotte challenged Rhea, that was WrestleMania.
True.
Whatever, I don't remember. It hasn't happened very often.
Right. No,
right.
That's a good point, Ransom, because I could see them kind of getting back to putting NXT as the quote-unquote third brand, because starting in March, they have this deal. They have that WWE Evolve that's going to be on Tubi, and Evolve is basically going to be like their feeder system into NXT, and then they also have this whole thing on A&E with that LFG show where they're training people that are at the Performance Center, and kind of making it like a reality TV sort of thing or whatever. But they're like, that's also like whoever wins that like gets like an NXT contract. So I could see, excuse me, I could see NXT still being semi-developmental, but being touted as like a third brand.
Right, and I think it really is at this point. Again,
Yes.
I'd say LFG is basically just tough enough, but
it's like Tough Enough
No.
meets The Voice. Like
pretty much.
Like Tough Enough was more so about like the like behind the the house life of it and stuff, like kind of almost like Ultimate Fighter. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Whereas this is kind of more so focused on the actual like competition of it or whatever, like a la The Voice or American Idol type of thing. You know what I mean?
Right. To poke a hole in the argument, though, I think that they have established that the Elimination Chamber match is for a women's world championship match
Okay.
at WrestleMania. Not to say that they couldn't, like, switch gears
Finagle their
and
words.
pull that. Right. Pull that card out, but it seems like it's locked in for Rhea, which is, I was really hoping for Io versus Rhea at WrestleMania. Two of your best women. But like, it seems like they're having a match either at Elimination Chamber or at the Raw the next night.
It's the Raw the next night,
which is dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
So dumb.
I don't know why they wouldn't have it at Elimination Chamber, but
Right. You had that the little like promo for Io that she had in NXT, talking about Rhea. Like I don't understand breaking all that out for a throwaway Raw. The only thing I can think of is that maybe Io wins, which would be super weird going into WrestleMania season. Because I think that we, for the most part, can agree that Rhea's probably their biggest women's star and probably one of, 2 or 3, superstars.
So, so what if Io wins, and then the Chamber winner obviously challenges her, but Rhea wants to, claim her rematch clause, and you get a women's triple threat.
Rematch clause.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, the thing that comes and goes so fucking flippantly, like,
I think that'd be fine.
The rematch clause is to WWE what knee-jerk reactions are to beef.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I was gonna say, before we get too far off in the weeds, like, what's Ransom's general NXT question?
All right, so in general, how did Vince McMahon quit the time-honored tradition?
Generally speaking,
of like, you're gonna leave and go to a different company, you're gonna retire, whatever. Like the old school adage is you go out on your back. We all know that, yes. My question about NXT is generally the whole like main roster thing, you go out on your back because you're leaving the company or retiring. In NXT, if all goes well, you get, I don't know if they still call it that or just like the internet wrestling fans refer to it as this. They get called up to the main roster. Wouldn't you want them, title aside, wouldn't you want them to like win their last match because they're not leaving like the company or retiring, they're getting called up. They're moving up the ladder, as you would imagine, or so to say. So like, why would you not want them to win and be like, all right, won my last match, I'm going up dominant?
To volley that back to you, the reason when they're retiring that they go out in their back is to put over a new talent. Same principle. Like you have this, like for example, Trick Williams. I think he was he the first 3-time? I don't remember. He's been a dominant NXT champion.
I think he's
like,
only 2.
Why? Okay, only 2. Okay, why would you not have that dude make the next guy? Like Eddie Thorpe, for example. Take a guy who we're all laughing at and going, oh, he doesn't have a chance. All of a sudden he beats Trick Williams, and we're like, oh. Maybe he does.
I have to bring up a point that was brought up to me by Eli. He said to me, he's like, so you're telling me that they had Eddie Thorpe beat Trick Williams in a strap match in the month of February? No. I was like, oh, Eli. Wait a minute.
I'll shut the stream down. So I hear your point there, but at the same time, like, my argument to that would be the guys on the main roster, they'll put over a younger guy, whatever, when they're retiring. They're done. The guy in NXT or gal, they're not done. They're getting called up. They've proven that they've learned enough, become dominant enough, won enough to make their way up one step higher. To have them lose and then go, okay, you lost. Now you're going up. Like, well, why didn't the guy that beat you? Why aren't they going up? Like, why are you losing and going up? You know what I mean? Like, retirement or leaving the company is one thing. This is like, I'm growing in every aspect. Wins, dominance, microphone, whatever. So I get to move up. Like, why would somebody who's not moving up beat me?
So I think the answer to that question is that generally NXT fans are pretty smart, and I use that with the capital S, talking about smarts, smart marks. They understand what's happening. So like somebody who's really good, probably reportedly on their way up, loses a match. They stand in the ring for another minute or two, and everybody in the audience gives them a huge round of applause. They give them the "you deserve it" chance because they know what's about to happen. And then again, I hear what you're saying, but I think that it's kind of established at this point that it's kind of like what you do. When Balor was on his way up, he rubbed Nakamura. When Nakamura was on his way up, he helped Sami Zayn, and Sami and Kevin had their thing, and it's just kind of how it's been established to this point.
It's so to that point as well. I there's definitely some credence to what Ransom's saying. However, there's also like the storyline point. You could argue it either way that like that say in this case let's put this in a vacuum of like the Trick Williams and Eddie Thorpe match. Let's say that Vengeance Day was his last match, right? It makes sense on the one hand where you have the person that is getting called up to lose, because then it's an easy way to write them off TV, etc., etc. It also makes sense to where you could, have them win, and put them on a hot streak going up. But then it's like, but then what do you do for the show there at NXT? Like, how, like, if Trick were to win his last match, what does he do or what does he say? Like, does he say something at the end of that match and say like, hey, this was my last match? Because like, it's a matter of like how do you fluidly transition them. So like when you do have somebody lose, at least there's something you could have them, you can write them off for injury. You could have a loser leaves NXT. I know that's kind of trite or whatever, but I mean it's been done before. That's how they would do it back in the territory days, obviously, like loser leaves town match. I mean there's a number of ways that you can go about it. So I can see either way. It's just a matter of like, given that story between whoever they're getting ready to call up, like what makes the most sense.
Well, like Beef said to his point, like smart marks.
Oh yeah, I mean
you don't need a story.
No. I mean,
like you don't need to have a story where they're written off TV for an injury and go up to the main roster. Like everybody is smarted enough, so everybody knows this person's going to be going up. Like
to that point, I will say yes, I agree with you on that. Like I think there is a fine line between not insulting the intelligence of your audience, because eventually, like you're, you and I and everybody else that watches NXT, like we, or whatever, like we watch it regularly. We know what's going on. You still have to account for like that new set of eyes who maybe doesn't know what's going on. Like, and perfect example of that was whenever I was watching AEW. My wife doesn't like ever watch AEW, But like there was a couple times she was asking, she asked me something. I was like, I don't really got a good answer for you or whatever. Or by comparison, and this is not a knock on AEW, but this is something. It's more so of a bigger round of applause for WWE. They do very, very well in regard to building up that pre-match story. So like even if she doesn't watch, she doesn't watch wrestling regularly with me, but she is a casual fan of it. She will take certain things in. She knows certain people's names. She sees certain people in NXT and stuff, and and she didn't have to ask me about like why are we having this match or whatever. Like all she had to do was watch the pre-match thing, and she's like, oh, okay, cool. Like I'm caught up to speed. And I did mention that to her too. I was like, if you ever want to know, I was like, all you gotta do is watch the vignette or whatever before the match, and you'll probably get your answer for the most part. But
I'm getting a little lost here. What is the point you're trying to make here about NXT?
With NXT and calling people up or whatever, you still have to account for those people that maybe aren't as familiar. You never know when you're getting that new set of eyes. So you wanna treat it. You want to ride the line between treating it as if people were watching it for the first time, but also not insulting the intelligence of the people that do watch it all the time.
So I don't understand what you're meaning by like people that are watching for the first time and having somebody called up.
So like if say in the case of Trick Williams, if he were to get if we knew he was getting called up, but you have somebody
right.
that hasn't been watching for as long, and they see whatever going on between Trick and Eddie, and Trick gets written off TV due to injury or something, that it's gonna make more sense to that newer viewer it's gonna make more sense that way rather than having him win and then the next week he's just not there. You know what I mean?
Well, no, right. But like what I'm saying is like when he wins, unless it's going to be a surprise, like if it's not going to be like a surprise debut, Trick can win the match and then, they can have a little interview in the ring or whatever, talk about how he's going up to the main roster. Is he excited to go to Raw or SmackDown? Do you know where you're going yet? Where do you want to like something like that? That is real easy, simple, and it solves the problem of like, why is this guy going from here to here if I'm a first-time viewer?
No, and that's fine.
And again, I don't think people watch NXT for the first time suddenly. I think more often than not, you get the people that show up on Raw, and like Cole and Pat explain, where they came from on NXT, what they did, things like that. And I think that they do a pretty good job about that. Of like, they obviously don't say, well, Trick Williams just lost his last match to Eddie Thorpe, but he's been great down in NXT. No, they would build up the hype a little bit more than that. Same as when Ilya came up. They didn't, they weren't like, well, Ilya's fresh off his loss to Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah.
No, they
Where the hell's he been?
Focused on he's hurt.
Okay.
They focused on, the fact that he dethroned Gunther,
right.
Walter at the time. So like, and I mean, I understand what you're saying, Ransom, but I think that in the scope of WWE, at least in the scope of Triple H's mind, I think he views NXT as like a different promotion. I think he doesn't view it on the same... Trying to watch my words here. I don't want to say same level as SmackDown and Raw, but I think that they're not on the same continuum, if that makes sense. So like, I think that just like in the indies, on indie shows, when somebody who's been running roughshod is going to NXT, they'll lose their last match in that company. Traditionally, usually. To like set the stage and make sure that the future is bright for, independent company number one. Even though they're going to the bigs, they want to make sure that they are leaving their mark. And I feel like that NXT has a lot of those same like indie vibes, to where, like, yeah, you're 100% right. And I mean, like, there are times where you get people that are on hot streaks that will, leave NXT. Asuka's a great example. They picked when she was injured, I think, for that specific purpose, so that she didn't have to lose, so that she could leave dominant. But for the most part, they're putting a future over. For example, when Shayna left, being one of the most dominant, she put Bianca over. And when Bianca left, she put, Rhea over, etc. That's not the exact title lineage, but like, that's the thought process, is that like you're making the next group to come through stronger. And then when you get to Raw or SmackDown, they don't like focus on like what just happened in NXT. They're focusing on your career in NXT and giving the fans like a highlight reel of that.
To that point, one additional thing, it's also when you have that talent who's ready to make that jump to the main roster, they're the type of talent that can eat a loss and it not affect them. Like, say like a perfect example, people that are already on the main roster, like a Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins can eat a loss. He could eat a number of losses, but given the scope and the breadth of everything that he has done, in bigger picture wise, it's not going to hurt him if the other person goes over, because Seth is already gotten over with the crowd. Same with whoever they're getting ready to call up.
Yeah. And again, like, I know what you're saying, Ransom. Like, conventional wisdom, in a real sport aspect, you're 100% right. If it were baseball, the people getting called up are on like hot streaks. They're playing the best ball of their career. That's why they're getting called up. But as much as this is a sport, it is also entertainment, and thus a certain concessions must be made.
I have a quick question. This doesn't have to do anything to do with NXT or the AEW shows. But I'm catching up on Raw from the other night, and it happened a little while ago in the match with Seth and Finn. There was like a point in the crowd where like everybody had their flashlights out and were just kind of like had them steadily on and shaking them around. Like, what the hell was that about? I missed it. I have the volume down, so I don't know if it was part of the crowd chant or like what was going on.
I don't watch Raw with volume, and Raw is very much a background show for me.
Good.
So like I saw that and I remember going, huh, that's weird.
I was like, for the benefit of those with flash photography, I'm like, man, like we're far removed from those days, which is kind of crazy, because I was I had on like so one of the channels on the Superbox is essentially just like a constant stream of like different best of WWE stuff or whatever, and it's got some old stuff and it's got newer stuff and whatever in between. Sometimes it'll focus on a particular rivalry, whatever. But the one thing was like the TLC match from Mania 17, and just seeing all the flash bulbs going off whenever fucking when Edge speared Hardy, from the ladder or whatever, like while Hardy was just hanging there on the title belts, like just seeing the screen just flash, 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 flash. It was crazy. Like, you don't get that with like super big moments anymore. It's weird. It's weird to go back.
Yeah,
but
it is. That's kind of a bummer. I agree, because that was definitely a neat.
Yeah.
that was a neat thing.
Sorry,
for sure.
sorry for that fucking ADHD aside. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Grand Slam. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to touch on one thing on NXT real quick before we sail on. I think that they, regardless of where you feel like the best women's division in wrestling is, I think it is NXT. But I think that it's a debate with AEW. I think that they both could make strong cases. But that being said, I think that NXT books their women like they are the strongest part of the show, and I think that they absolutely are. I think it was.
Well, yeah, they opened. They bookend the whole show. They had the first and last match. So.
Yep, and both matches were great.
Yep.
And then even on NXT on Tuesday, like they had, great women's segments throughout. So like I think that if you, and I think that that's why NXT carries that, why they have that moniker, because they embrace it, they roll with it, and they acknowledge it, and thus it becomes stronger. I think if AEW were to have that identity and be like, hey, we also have the strongest women's division in wrestling, I think that their fan base would respond as well. But the fact that they're, 1 foot in, and then like tippy-toeing around it is not helping anybody. But yeah, Grand Slam. I'm pissed that it took place at 10:30 at night.
Oh my god.
Because like that's why I don't get to watch UFC anymore, because I'm an old man, and like I love watching it, but Jesus Christ, like asking me to stay up for a 10 o'clock start, that the event's probably not going to be over till 1. I'm dying.
Well,
I'm dying. I'm an old man. You can't do that.
At least it wasn't like a 13 match card like normal. I mean, that's the only benefit to them, fucking bongling this whole fucking nonsense between dealing with it with the NBA and the whole thing going from like a pay-per-view to like just a glorified special collision. Like at least they kept the cards small and didn't try to run until like fucking 2 a.m. So thanks for that.
They can call it. They can call it what they want to call it, but that wasn't fucking collision.
Yeah.
That was better than most Battle of the Belts that they've put out. That was a pay-per-view just without 13 matches.
It felt foreign.
And I think,
no pun intended, it felt foreign. I was like, this is all we're getting? I don't know what to do with myself.
Right. But I think that it drew attention to the matches we got, and they were all great, including Harley and Mercedes. And Mercedes has a penchant for the botch, and Harley's still pretty green, but I think that both those women showed out big time.
Oh yeah.
I am very upset that Mercedes won. I think that Harley Cameron should have won. I think that she's probably the funniest woman in wrestling right now, and I think that she has the complete, 5-tool player, as they say. But I
never thought I would see the day where Beef said he's sad that Mercedes Moné won.
I was thinking the same thing, Poot. Hi.
I think that's what being a fan is about. You have to be impartial, and you have to you can't just follow blindly and go, oh yeah, Mercedes is the best, so she deserves all the belts. Like, no, man. Like, she's really good, but that also means that at some point she has to let some talent beat her so that we can go, oh, they beat Mercedes. They're a big deal. And someone like Harley Cameron, who was really starting to hit her apex in her hometown, well, not her hometown, but in her home country, I think it would have went a long way, is all I'm saying.
So, if I may, and then I want to get Poot's take on it, since he just rolled in. I think, hi. I think this is a case of where, again, like the old adage, like you don't have to go over to get over, because obviously Harley Cameron is over with the crowd and everything. Like so as somebody who has not had the opportunity until as of late to watch much AEW at all, turning it on for one of the first times and seeing her do like the ventriloquism shit with the puppet, I was like, oh my god, she's doing, wow, okay, that's different. I've not seen that before. I'm interested. And I would see things, little clips here and there online. It's also a matter of making it as believable as possible. Like, would it have been believable if she had the ultimate underdog story and she got one over on Mercedes? Yeah, because we've seen in football and stuff where you have, look at the fucking Super Bowl. Look what just happened there. The Eagles trouncing all over, the Chiefs, who were, supposedly, supposedly had they got the league, the league's refs in their pockets and this and that, and nobody thought what happened was going to happen. So it's an any given Sunday sort of scenario if you had Harley go over. But in her losing, you build more sympathy for her and you get her over even more with the crowd, and you build on that. And I get wanting to, like, you could have had her win there in Australia and it would have been a big deal, because that's her home country and stuff. But you could also build that toward the next bigger pay-per-view, like a Revolution or Double or Nothing, where there's more eyes on and you've built this person up, and now like it's the water's on the stove, it's boiling, and now it's ready. Like, you got to take it off before it just boils over. I think that's what they're going to go for there. And I truly do think that we'll see her we'll see her get one over on Mercedes, or or hopefully somebody we'll see Harley get that win, like that big win on a bigger stage than what Grand Slam was.
That's fair. I guess that's okay. You're not wrong. I don't know. I guess what's a bigger stage, her home country, or like Double or Nothing, for example. That's the argument. And I guess smart money is saying that it would probably be Double or Nothing because it wouldn't be fucking 10:30 on a fucking Saturday night. You fucking cowards.
Exactly.
So more than like 500,000 people would see it. But like, yeah, if they do that, that's the thing. AEW kind of plays hot potato with pushes in the women's division. And you're never too sure who's coming next. Like, Megan Bayne kind of came out of nowhere, and now she's gonna get, she's kind of in the middle of a decent sized push, and there's Thunder Rosa coming back out of nowhere. So like, they have a real bad time with like managing not just personalities, but also like managing their high profile roster, I think. But that said, Grand Slam was a Grand Slam. I thought it was a lot of fun, and it was exactly what it should have been.
Can I say something just about in general the like tone towards AEW right now?
Yeah, always.
All right. So I have yet to watch Grand Slam. Like you guys know, I've been in the process of moving house, and that's kind of eaten up a lot of my time and effort. I watched I heard a couple breakdowns of it, and the overall from like the pundits out there, the actual like, you know, like What Culture and Cultaholic and et al. Has Steven Larson has been like, it was okay. Like they were like, all right, like it was fine. But I don't know if it's just me getting older or me getting more like, all right, is that the internet hate machine over dumb horse shit. And maybe I missed this when you guys were talking earlier, but the internet hate machine over the smaller ring, like,
I didn't even notice.
yeah, well, and you're apparently the only person in the fucking universe because God Almighty, for a while, that was the only thing that I heard about was the fact that the ring was smaller and one of the ring posts was off kilter and the ring aprons didn't fit and it looked weird. And I'm like, okay, but was the show good? And like, no one was talking about that. They were just talking about how AEW doesn't give a shit anymore. AEW, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like,
Welcome to the world of E-drones, man. E-drones find the weirdest fucking thing to get tribal about, and then they're like, let's get them. Like, oh, AEW's only half filling arenas. Let's get them. I'm seeing some like pictures resurfacing from SummerSlam 2022 where they like did not sell half the fucking arena. They're having like weird camera angles that are like completely empty, and people are like, are they training for the match? Are they like planning the match? And people are like, nope, this is SummerSlam. It's just a different angle with a bunch of seats that are dead. So like, tribal E-drones, and I mean, it goes both ways. I think that there are plenty of tribal AEW fans too, who come at WWE inexplicably and for no damn good reason. They pick a weird fucking like thing. And then they're like, like forget, fuck the fact that Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, Kyle Fletcher, and Konosuke Takeshita had a fucking dynamite match. Fuck the fact that
Tony intended.
Fuck the fact that Toni Storm got her 4th women's title in her home country after a great angle. Like, let's focus on this weird fucking thing. I don't know, man.
But that's kind of my point. That's what I'm getting at, is the fact that like, okay, everybody, can we just calm down? Like, I understand we come back around to this idea quite a bit where we just go, guys, can we just enjoy wrestling? Like, can we? Is that possible? Can we just all enjoy wrestling and like understand that there's faults with every company and things happen and blah, blah, blah. Can that be a thing? And like, it just never is. And I was like, okay, I need to actually watch this show so I can enjoy it. I need to go hunt it down somehow. It drives me just insane. It just drives me up a wall. And it's like, is AEW perfect right now? Fucking absolutely not. Like, they are not. They're like, I mean, even with the, compounding, I don't know if you guys talked about Ricky Saints or not.
No, we didn't.
Okay. Oh, you guys haven't touched on that. Okay. Okay, you haven't touched on that, then I'll hold my comments about how that ties into the thing. But like, I'm sitting here and I'm going, if your only complaint is that they used a smaller ring, then so the show was good then? Like, that's my point. It's like, yeah, it's very first world problem-y, and I just don't.
Well, and I think,
like, I know that makes me sound like I don't know. It fucking drives me crazy is all I'm saying.
I think that we are part of the larger ethos network, whatever you want to call it, where we see that, where we're like, you know what, fucking A, NXT's doing great, AEW's back on the upswing, WWE's killing it right now, like, awesome. TNA is, being fucking great again. Like, everything seems to be going very well, and we're like, fucking A, wrestling is great. But there are just some weird fucking people that are very tribal. And I think it's not to like, be a thing. But like, I think that that's part of a problem with society right now is people get real fucking tribal about weird fucking things, man. Like if you look at the way that sports are celebrated now versus how they were, at the dawn of the 21st century,
Before the dawn of man as we knew him.
Right. Like, like all these fucking crazy Super Bowl parades and things of that nature. Like it's out of hand.
The fact that
Philadelphia destroying the fucking city of Philadelphia.
The fact that they gotta grease the light poles so people don't climb them, but they still did, and somehow, some way, they managed to take down at least like one traffic light somewhere from an intersection, and it's just gone. Nobody knows where the fuck they took it to, but it's gone.
Fucking college football the same way. Like people are just like breaking down the goalpost and just carrying them out of the stadiums when a big upset happens. Like okay, but like this is all way outside the scope of like it used to be that like there was there's a little bit of that to this, but like there was sportsmanship. Like you could say, well, we may not have won, but it was a great game. Or like, we may not have beat WCW last week, but I think that both shows were great. It feels like there was a lot of competitive sportsmanship between fan bases even back then. Like, but now it's, haha, my guy won, your guy lost. And it's like, yeah, but that's making us
you're not part of my fan base. You should fucking die.
Exactly. Exactly.
Calm your fucking tits. It's a game, fucker.
The tribal aspect of our society is fucking through the roof right now.
Well, and I think that's just something, like you said, it's something that's always been, but it's just very misdirected.
I don't think it's always been though. I think that in the last, decade, it's ratcheted up on everything, and now unfortunately, including wrestling, people are drawing these lines and being like, "I'm an AEW guy. WWE did something stupid, and now you're gonna hear about it for the next 4 years. I'm a WWE guy. Look at all these empty arenas from AEW. Har, har, har. Oh, Tony Khan couldn't even pay to ship the right ring. Ha, ha, ha. All right. Like, I 100% agree with you.
From what I saw, like, also, they never intended to, like, take a full-size ring. That was one thing that I saw. Is like they never intended that in the first place. And I'm like, that feels a little apologetic. That feels a little like excusey. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but like even then, even if they had to make do with what they had, they could have fucking canceled the show.
If I'm being real, I have not read anything into it because I saw it and I was like, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. I'm not going to put 1 ounce of my effort into finding more out about this because it is so not important.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like, shotgun blast your point, Poot. That's not what I'm doing.
No,
I'm saying
I know
that. Like the whole smaller ring thing was like such a non-issue that like I knew the fucking fringes were like, oh, look at AEW, small ring, bleep blap bloop blop. Like, all right.
Bleep blap bloop blop. Oh.
I seem to remember there were debates back in the day too with like ECW, WCW, and WWF who had the bigger ring, and I don't know why the fuck that matters, man. At the end of the day, as long as it's not in a fucking 6-sided ring where the ropes are too tight that are gonna fucking kill you, like whatever, like enjoy your fucking wrestling, you fucking twats.
Fucking hot take. I thought that the 6-sided ring was not a bad idea. I just thought it was like it was different. They made too big of a stink out of it. Like they made too big of a deal out of it.
I loved it.
It was cool.
Until I found out how terrible it was on the wrestlers.
Right.
Like once I started hearing the ropes were too tight, and like
really.
The ropes are too tight too, Billy. And like the top rope, which was intended to be like more springy for cruiserweights, was actually less. And Yeah, the whole thing was just a mess.
Yeah, AJ and Kurt Angle have both gone on record saying that they absolutely fucking hated wrestling in the 6-sided ring because of the fact that there were more support beams underneath. There was less
That too.
give, whenever you take the bump, so it hurt way more than a regular.
Oh fuck! I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So like things like that. I mean, it looked cool. I was all for it too. It set TNA apart, but functionally wise, for the health of their wrestlers, I didn't know that until like within the last, I'm gonna say like year or two, whenever I just saw a random reel, and I was like, oh, well, fuck, I didn't think about that. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Like
Ransom, you've been awfully quiet here. What are your thoughts about the perfect dimensions of a wrestling ring?
I thought WWF had it right.
I mean, to his credit, WWE always looked more professional.
So here's something that I always thought about, like, and I don't know why this kind of sticks with me, but like when Kevin Nash was Diesel, or like with Sid, these guys who'd hit the mat, they'd be like, well, hell, if he lays in the middle of the mat, he can reach the ropes. And like I always thought that was like, okay, is that kind of like our measuring stick now? Like, should the 7-footers be able to reach the ropes from the middle of the ring? So like, of course, it made Nitro seem smaller and this, that, and the other thing. But I mean, just goofy ass tribalism, man. You said it, Pooh. Just fucking enjoy wrestling.
Yeah.
So what do we think about Ricky Saints? The name and not the person.
I want to hear Ransom's take first.
Oh yeah.
What? No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who cares? I mean, I don't know. I think it's dumb, but I also don't care that much about it. Not him, like just the fact that like it's a name, like Ricky Stanks, Tony Stank,
Ricky Stanks,
Ricky Stank, Ricky Spars, Ricky Stars, Stars and Stripes, Ricky Sanchez. What's his name?
Ricky Starks.
No, the fuck in NXT, mother farmer.
Oh, Ricky Saints.
Okay, so I think it's dumb, but it's also not that big a deal. Like, well, yeah, that's stupid. Who cares? That was my response. That's stupid. Who cares? I don't understand why he didn't use his last name. I talked to Beef about this at some point, and what your argument was? What?
Branding, I think, is what I had said on both ends, both like for the person and for the company. That like Ricky has that cachet as Ricky Starks, and it's nice to be able to carry that outside of the WWE. But also like WWE not wanting Ricky Starks to be like something that they pump a lot of money and merch into, and all of a sudden him go out and be somewhere successful somewhere else. On the back of that.
I see that point and all, but like I don't know if you're in the WWE and you make a name for yourself, where are you going to go that they don't know you by that name? You know what I mean? Like if he makes a name for himself, let's say he came from the Indies, right? He never wrestled for any big promotion. Right to WWE. Through NXT, whatever. He made a big name for himself. Everybody watching WWE knows this guy's name, right? So he goes somewhere else. If you go anywhere else after making a name for yourself in WWE, everybody knows who you are already. So for WWE to say, you can't be Ricky Saints anywhere else, you can't be Ricky Saints, that's only here. But if you make it in WWE and everybody knows you, they're going to know you if you go back to Ricky Stark. Like, you're not going to... You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be that big of a thing. If you went from
And-
somewhere small to somewhere big, I could see that's the other way around. But like,
Fans remember because remember Lord Tensai, fucking Prince
Yep.
Albert coming back as a fat ninja. Like fans remember.
Fat ninja.
well, that's what I'm saying.
senpai.
So like, it doesn't matter what name. It shouldn't matter what name he has in WWE. He should be able to still be Ricky Starks. Like, if you make a name for yourself and then go somewhere else, people are going to know who you are regardless.
Well,
So like, yeah, if he goes from like WWE to New Japan after being, big in WWE, like, is it really going to be that big of a deal if he's Ricky? Like, well, that's Ricky Saint in WWE. I don't know who he is now. Like, who's this guy?
right, you're not wrong. Like from the fan perspective, it's not a big deal. The whole thing of it is just literally becomes the legality and the business of it. Like, copywriting, trademark, this and that. Fucking what the oh god, I'm losing the term. Like the property of the intelligence or
Intellectual
whatever.
property.
Yes, thank you.
Intellectual
that.
property.
God, thank you. I couldn't fucking get it out. Intellectual property. Yes. That's
But I mean, like,
that's literally
if
what
Ricky
it all comes
Starks
to. Right.
owns the intellectual property of Ricky Starks, why can't WWE just use Ricky Starks for when he's there?
License it.
Or not even that. Like, he could just be like, "Yeah, man, let's use Ricky Starks. Let's use my name." And all they have to be like is, "Yeah, that's cool. That's fine. Let's do that." You know what I mean? Like, WWE wouldn't even have to necessarily license it from them. Like, they could just be like, "Yeah, I want to use this." And they're like, "All right, cool. Let's do it." And like, as long as the person who holds the intellectual property is, and of course, that's not like they sign contracts, motherfucker. Like, that could be written into a contract, not you, Tom, motherfucker, the royal.
Yeah.
motherfucker.
No, I know.
Like, that could be written into the contract of like, you can use this name for now and past footage and what you know what I mean.
No, I know what you mean. But I think it's so in the case of Ricky Starks, everything like what I don't know exactly when his AEW contract expired, but from the rumblings that I hear, everything kind of happened so fast, and they got him there and got him on TV, as the hottest free agent, which essentially he was. But that's why they did not refer to him by name, because they were still in the midst of working out whatever behind the scenes fine print, cross your T's, dot your I's fucking contract work. Like, in the case of when we saw Cody come back to WWE from AEW, like he talked about it, and he said like one of the things that he made sure that he got into his contract was the fact that he could use his music that he has, because that was a very important thing to him, and it was a sticking point. So it really it just comes down to both sides being able to reach that mutual understanding, and I don't know if they are just hard pressed for time, or they were trying to shotgun this thing through or whatever, and
Set up.
it's just kind of the name thing was not as important to Ricky. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. The only people that'll know for sure, Ricky, his manager or lawyer or whoever, and whoever WWE's legal team is.
That would be Morgan and 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 Morgan.
Yes.
Oh.
But that also makes me wonder, like, they didn't do that they didn't do that for Jordan Grace. Like, they've been referring to Jordan Grace, so I imagine that whatever deal she's got or whatever, like they got that already figured out with her. It's hard to say. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the perfect word I landed on was jarring. Ricky Saints was jarring the first time I heard it, because I'm like Ransom, I'm like, why not just use the fucking name? You call it Adam Cole. You called fucking Samoa Joe. You called, et cetera. Like Keith Lee. Like, why not just go with the name they established? And I mean, it could be, in part, to all of those men I just named who, I don't think that any of them had great success in WWE. Samoa Joe had pretty marginal success, I'd say. But, like, they were able to take that, that the machine was behind. I mean, look at the Undisputed Kingdom, for example. Like, this is basically just the Undisputed Era with extra steps. And,
Hurt Syndicate.
that was something... That was something that the WWE machine got behind, made a thing, and made a great thing that now AEW is just able to parlay and go, look what we have. So, like...
I'm sorry, it's the way that you said that. Look what we have.
So, like, I get it. It bears mentioning that I don't think that the Beat 'em Up Inc. or the Undisputed Kingdom are like rocket ships at this point. I don't think that them going, look, we're borrowing what WWE used has worked out all that well. But like I understand that aspect of it, and again, realistically, I don't hate the name. Like, the dude's from New Orleans. He's so, like, Saints makes sense.
Ricky
And again,
Jambalaya.
it's not a bad name. It's just not what his name is. So, like, it was jarring to me.
Call him Ricky Bayou. Why not? Fuck it.
Now that I've slept on it a few days, like, Ricky Saints is a fine name.
Well, I think honestly, like, more than likely the thing was Ricky was like, no, I'm not signing over the name Ricky Starks to you because then you'll have it forever. Blah 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 blah. So they had to settle on something, and they just hadn't settled on anything yet because I'll bet you anything that he just has the rights to it and he didn't want to give them up. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Ricky Starks is his actual name. And if you look at him and Cody are real tight. Like, he probably sat side saddle with Cody for so long, where Cody had to go by Cody with Brandy Rhodes, to be able to use his fucking name. So, like,
Jesus Christ. Sorry.
I understand that, having that fear. But again, I think ultimately we're kind of in a different sphere right now with how wrestling is being handled. And I think there's going to be more bleed over across all planes than we've seen, in the past.
Yeah.
Sure. But the other point that I wanted to say was, Ricky Saints on, I can't remember what interview he did, but he cited one of his reasons for leaving AEW was some veterans like holding him back, holding him down. And he, like, there was a lot of like, well, who would that be? Well, you think about who he had, like, kind of apparently a little shoot thing. During the it was that promo with
Edgy Poo.
Edgy Poo. And apparently that's what he was talking about. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right, I see where we're going with this. All right. Which I don't like that kind of thing, man. That has big TNA TNA when it was bad stink on it. You know what I mean? Showing up and bad-mouthing the other thing. Now, he did it on an interview. He was being honest. He was saying how he felt. Fine. But, maybe carry yourself just a little bit better and don't be that guy that goes to the competition and immediately starts throwing shade. You know what I mean? Like, nothing against
anything worse like what CM Punk did.
Yeah, careful. Tony Khan may take that interview and show it in its entirety on Dynamite.
Yeah, hey guys, look at how terrible we are. No, it's just kind of, I don't know. Like it just kind of was like, okay, again with this. What are you owing?
Probably the same thing I went. When Oba Femi came out on TNA.
I owed it Oba.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah.
when we get Obafemi and Moose, pay me all the money. I will pay all the money. Let's go. I'm fine with it. I like this generation that we live in now, where people can like openly talk, and we're seeing more behind the curtain than we have. And I know that again, like that's old heads are gonna lose their fucking minds over it. Kayfabe should be kayfabe. Like, nah, man. I love hearing Mark Calloway talk about some shit.
Oh yeah.
Talking about how he told fucking Haku not to chop him, and Haku properly then chopped him, and he was like, "God damn it, Haku, you bastard!" But did nothing about it because he knew that Haku could turn him into a fucking toothpick because he was a scary fucking dude. Those that's awesome. And like the interviews that Punk does off the record, where he's like, "Yeah, man, shit happened. I was responsible. They were responsible. Everything sucked. Like, let's all go our separate ways." Or people have their bitterness. I'm for it because again, I think that helps truth eventually see the light of day, or at least helps us to have a more informed decision rather than hearing one side shoved down our throats for years and years and years before we actually find out that, oh shit, something else happened.
Well, and it also helps, like, when you have people being so open and honest, and you have the truth easily accessible out there, the way things are nowadays too, even still with the art form, you can take the truth and really still blur the lines. Like, you can have art imitate life. Like, look at the case of the whole Edge and Lita and Matt Hardy thing. Like, that was some real life shit, and they fucking took it and they ran with it and made a story out of it. And
everybody made money.
And everybody made money. Look at fucking, Jeff Jarrett and, Kurt Angle and Karen, that whole thing, man. Like,
everybody made money.
Everybody made money. And to a degree, look at it now with Seth Rollins and CM Punk. Now,
everybody's making money.
Everybody's making money. But I don't think any one of us could sit here and definitively say, oh, that's 100% shoot, or, oh, that's 100% work. There's probably a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I'm sure they're probably, rightfully so. Like, you could sit there regardless of who's the face or heel, and you could go, well, you know what? They have a point. Like, if in the whole the whole past thing between like Seth and Punk, when Seth was kind of more or less, getting the booze and everything like that, he was still making good points. He's like, dude, you took your ball, you went home, and you tried to badmouth this company and put us all under while I stayed here and I tried to build it up. Yeah, I'm pissed at you. That's as real fucking sounds to me. But who's to say that that backstage, like, that they haven't, like, buried the hatchet or something like that? They could be, real tight, or not real tight, but I mean, like, they could be, friendly and not have the same amount of animosity on TV or anything like that. But that also speaks to that speaks volumes to somebody who could draw back to those experiences. Like, I don't know, actors, good performers who can draw on emotions and go to that place and take yourself
professionalism. I think is where is the word you're getting at, which is 100% accurate.
All of that.
Like, I think I'm pretty sure that Seth Rollins does not like Punk in the least, and I'm pretty sure that Drew McIntyre does not like Punk in the least. But in the case of McIntyre and Punk, they put their shit aside and
made money.
Had probably the biggest feud of the year last year. At least one of the best matches. So, like, and I mean, it's the same, like, in all of our workplaces. I'm sure that we have people that we are probably not the fondest of.
Nope.
But we go in, we do our job, and if we have to interact with those people, we interact with those people with a smile on our face, knowing that once 5 o'clock hits, they're fucking toast. Like, they're in our rearview mirror, man. Like, so, like, I think that that's the difference between WWE and AEW, at least what I'm getting at, what I'm hearing. And again, the truth will have its day sometime, I'm sure. But like for the most part, it sounds like in WWE, people put their professionalism ahead of personal drama, and said, if there's stuffing that can happen here, let's make it happen.
Right.
In AEW, people got way too caught up in personal, and like that shit carried a long way. And we've seen it go a long way with guys like Andrade, with guys like Cope, Ricky Starks, CM Punk, obviously, Hangman. Like we've seen all this like drama kind of interweaved, but like because certain people were involved in it, it went a different way. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, if professionalism wins out, then I think that's a win for everybody.
Solid point.
That's what they called me back in college. Old Solid Point Beef Johnson. What? Real quick. I know that we are getting on, but apparently it was reported today that whenever Shane and Tony met, Shane wanted equity in AEW and wanted to run the whole damn thing.
Oh my!
Wow.
Some bitch.
Which is a McMahon move through and through. However, I think would have probably worked out to the benefit of AEW.
Yep.
Oh, 100%. I mean, again, say what you want about Shane, say what you want about the McMahons, taking a lot of the other things that have come to light aside. Shane would have been absolutely dynamite. Again, no pun intended. Like he would have been fucking great for that company.
Mm-hmm.
I try my best to like separate art and artist as best I can. I'm not going to do that with Vince McMahon. He's a fucking terrible human being. But in terms of being a shrewd businessman, he talked his own fucking father out of his own business, went on to like quadruple the size of said business, probably even beyond that, and made it a national fucking pastime. So like, I think a guy like Shane, who grew up under that certain apple tree, would probably have a lot of guidance, shall we say, towards that end of growth and development and how to get to that next plateau, which I think is where AEW has struggled the last several years.
Right. No, I think he
that. Go ahead.
Damn it. No, I think.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right. No, Shane would have been a great addition, and having, like you said, having them take that to that next level, because they started off hot, and the thing that we have to keep in mind, and like when we look at AEW, like when you put it under the microscope, they are still, essentially in their infancy. Like, WWE has, years and years and years and years and years ahead of them, and on them and everything like that. But you have AEW as far as like from a production standpoint and a reach that they're almost on par with with WWE. Like, I mean, they're on, they got their TNT and TBS. Like, the fact that they have those TV deals. Look at how long TNA's been around, but they're on Access. Like, it speaks volumes to what AEW has been able to do, but I think that the word that you used is really good. Plateau. Like, they're kind of at this point right now where they've fallen back. They've definitely taken a step back. And I'm not saying their product is terrible, but it's not quite at the same level as what it was in the first 2 to 3 years.
I think it's different. I think it's still just as good, if not better, because I think they have better wrestlers now. Like, oh, they lost Joey Janela, but they gained a Will Ospreay. You know, oh, they lost, fuck, I can't even think of anybody.
Bob
Man, what a
Saget.
fucking
And
fucking
Helico,
Jesus.
and Helico, but they gained Danielson. So like, yeah, I think it's a better product now, and I mean production wise, I think their production's absolutely stepping it up too. But all of that being said, I think that you're 100% spot on that the heat's not there. Now I think with these smaller venues, the heat's starting to come back. We're
The
getting
heat
more
is on.
shows. We're getting better dynamites. We're getting better collisions. If they can continue to grow proportionally in this regard, I think they'll be just fine.
JF bitch.
But I think we're hitting our limits, fellas. Anything else important anybody wants to talk about? Now's your time.
Stamps.
Have the floor. Who?
Stamps. Strap the champs. Strapless champs.
Ray's
Okay.
gone bye-bye, Egon.
Stump the champs.
I got him.
Farmer.
Tom, you on board with that? You cool with it?
How long are we gonna take?
I don't know. Well, the only one we have is from Ryuk. So based upon previous Ryuk tries, they usually don't go a ton.
Okay, let's do it.
Oh.
Sorry, Ryuk.
Sorry, Ryuk. It's gonna be a squash match. Let's do it.
Oh.
Who are the 3 wrestlers that won the Royal Rumble but didn't win the world title?
Oh,
We did this one already.
nope. I got this. I got it.
Go for it.
Wait. Oh yeah. No, we did do that. But there's been multiple people.
I'm wondering if he's including. I think he's talking about from like when they started doing like the winner gets a shot.
Say his
question.
Let's give both numbers.
Say his question again.
Who are the 3 winners that won the Royal Rumble but didn't win the world title? And yes, Pat asked a question like this because we went through and figured all the Rumble winners, and obviously Hacksaw and Big John Studd were the first 2 that came to mind because they were winners in years 1 and 2, and never won the world title because they were never afforded that opportunity. Spoiler alert: I don't think they would have won.
He's saying who never won a title at all, or that did not win the title at their Mania match, because that's two.
Does not specify. Who are the
Okay.
3 wrestlers that won the Royal Rumble but didn't win the world title?
So,
Based upon the phrasing of the question, I gotta believe he's talking about winning the world title immediately after their victory.
I mean, okay.
But that's more than 3, right? Like,
Oh God, dude, they're okay. I'm gonna tell you right now because the question we had from Pat, I had a laundry list of Rumble winners that lost at Mania. Even though there are people that have won world titles, there is a laundry list of people who have lost at Mania.
like Cody lost his first year, so
Cody-
like that to me.
Cody,
but-
Edge,
but-
Orton, Cena, Brock, Reigns. Actually, even throw in Austin and Vince in there because technically they didn't receive title matches because of fucky
Right.
circumstances. So, I mean, yeah.
So then it may be more along the lines of Pat's question of like Rumble winners who had won the Rumble but have never held a world title. And I think
So
that
either way, we already
Pat's
answered this one with Pat. And if he's going the other way, if he's saying like who won at Rumble but didn't win the title at their Mania match,
Me.
it was a Dave question actually. To go back just to retcon it, it was a Dave question. But yeah,
Okay, well, yeah.
Dave.
So
Allegedly
either way,
Dave.
we've already answered it. So we throw it out. Or if he's going the other way, there are way more than 3 people. So either way, we throw it out.
I'm just gonna read the answer. Thanks for you guys. Hope you do know that we enjoy the questions and hope you know how important you guys are. Thanks, Ryuk.
Oh wow, we just spent all that time motherfucking him. What
Yep.
a bunch of jerks we are.
Yeah, so he's kind of all over the place. Luger, Jim Duggan, Shinsuke.
Yeah, see, it's
Um,
way more than
yeah.
3. That fucking
Yeah.
Michaels is on that list. Roman Reigns is on that list. Like, there is a literal metric fuck ton of people. Sorry, Ryuk. I'm not trying to like completely piss in your Cheerios, but you got.
I think the way he wanted it. I think he wanted us to just name 3 of the. I think that's what he meant.
I think he said the 3, but yeah, it was exactly what it was. It was basically Dave's question.
Okay.
Yeah, who are the 3? But yeah, he missed John Studd in there anyway. So yeah, sorry, Rick, we just did that question. Feel free though to send another question.
Feel free.
So that you too can try to and probably fail to stump the chumps.
Oh man.
Super easy to do. Just kidding.
Barely an inconvenience.
All right, that's it. Shut it off.